What if a simple prayer could halt a raging storm? It is a power reminiscent of the Gospels, a power seemingly reserved for Christ himself. Yet a humble 20th century Polish nun, Saint Faustina Kowalska, recorded in her personal diary that she did just that. Her diary exists as a breathtaking chronicle of her spiritual life. It reveals not only this incredible event, but also how her quiet, persistent prayers could reach across hundreds of miles to bring peace to a soul on the very brink of death. These are not mere legends. They are a testament to a spiritual reality that she believed is accessible to all. Here, we will uncover these profound, lesser-known events from her life and discover the incredible strength that prayer of trust unlocks. To the world, she was Sister Maria Faustina Kowalska, a simple nun tasked with the humble duties of a cook, gardener, and doorkeeper in her convent. But in the eyes of heaven, she was chosen for an extraordinary mission to become the secretary and apostle of divine mercy. Between 1931 and her death in 1938, she experienced visions where Jesus entrusted her with a message of his unfathomable love for a world in desperate need of it. She recorded these conversations, visions, and her own spiritual struggles in a series of notebooks now known as the Diary of Saint Maria Faustina Kowalska, Divine Mercy in My Soul. This diary is more than a book. It is a spiritual treasure, a guide filled with encounters that reveal the heart of God. While many are familiar with the Divine Mercy image or the chaplet that Jesus taught her, her diary also contains powerful personal stories that showcase the immediate and tangible effects of her prayer. These are raw, real-life demonstrations of faith in action that address some of our deepest fears. The fear of chaos, of storms beyond our control, and the ultimate fear of death itself. We now journey into the pages of her diary to explore two of these remarkable events. We will witness how her unwavering trust calmed a physical tempest, and how her intercession waged a spiritual battle for a dying soul, revealing the power of prayer in a way one might never have imagined. One evening, Saint Faustina was awakened by the full fury of a tempest. It was not merely a storm. She described it as a tumultuous force. In her diary, she brings the terror of that moment to life. The wind was raging, the rain was a torrent, and thunderbolts struck again and again. It was the kind of chaos that renders one small and utterly helpless. In such a moment, the first instinct is fear. But Faustina's reaction was supernatural. Instead of panicking, she turned to the spiritual remedy that Jesus had given her, the Chaplet of Divine Mercy. The chaplet was revealed to her in 1935 as a prayer to appease God's wrath. As she began to pray, something extraordinary happened. In diary entry 1731, she writes that Jesus himself spoke to her amidst the thunder, saying,
"Say the chaplet I have taught you, and the storm will cease."
She obeyed instantly, and the result was just as immediate. She wrote,
I began immediately to say the chaplet and hadn't even finished it when the storm suddenly ceased.
the raging wind, the downpour, the thunder, all of it stopped. It was not a gradual fading. It was a sudden hush that fell over the world in direct response to her prayer. After the storm was silenced, she heard Jesus' voice again, explaining the principle behind the miracle.
Through the chaplet, you will obtain everything, if what you ask for is compatible with my will.
This event is a dramatic, literal illustration of the power of trusting prayer. But this story is not just about changing the weather. It is a powerful metaphor for the storms that rage in our own lives. The storm of anxiety that prevents sleep. The storm of grief that feels like a physical weight. Or the storm of conflict that disrupts families and communities. Saint Faustina models a powerful response. Instead of being consumed by the chaos, she turned her full attention to God's mercy. The Chaplet of Divine Mercy is not a magic formula. Its power lies in its focus. It constantly calls upon the merits of Jesus' passion, connecting present suffering to the ultimate act of love in human history. It is an act of profound trust, of declaring, even when the wind is howling.
Jesus, I trust in you.
Her experience teaches that our greatest strength is found not in our own ability to weather the storm, but in our willingness to call upon the one who has power over it. This incredible power to affect the physical world was rooted in a much deeper mission. Faustina's heart burned with the desire to bring God's mercy to souls, especially those in their final moments. She understood that the most terrifying storm is not one of wind and rain, but the spiritual battle that occurs at the hour of death. Her diary shows she was not a passive observer, but an active participant, armed with prayer. One afternoon in 1934, while she was in a garden in Vilnius, Saint Faustina had an experience that powerfully illustrates this mission. It began not with a vision of Jesus, but with a simple, urgent command from her guardian angel, who suddenly appeared and told her,
"Pray for the dying."
Without hesitation, Faustina and the other sisters with her began to pray the rosary. But even as they prayed, something more specific began to unfold. She wrote that despite the noise and chatter around her, she heard a clear voice in her soul, a desperate plea.
Pray for me.
Confused, she tried to discern who was speaking to her. The voice came again, this time identifying itself.
I am Sister.
Faustina recognized the name. It was a fellow nun who was in Warsaw, hundreds of miles away. The dying sister's message was urgent.
Pray for me until I tell you to stop. I am dying.
What followed was an ardent vigil of intercession. For 2 straight hours, from 3 o'clock until 5, Faustina prayed fervently. It was an intense, focused battle of prayer. She was not just reciting words. She was pouring out her soul for another. Then at precisely 5 o'clock, she heard 2 simple words.
Thank you.
She understood in that moment that the sister had died. The confirmation of this supernatural event came later, when a postcard arrived from Warsaw, verifying that the nun had indeed passed away at that very hour. This remarkable account happened in 1934, a year before Jesus revealed the Divine Mercy Chaplet to her. It shows that her mission to pray for the dying was already deeply ingrained in her spiritual life. Later, Jesus would give her the chaplet and emphasize its immense power at the hour of death. He made a breathtaking promise in her diary.
At the hour of their death, I defend as my own glory every soul that will say this chaplet, or when others say it for a dying person, the pardon is the same.
He added that when the chaplet is prayed at the bedside of the dying,
God's anger is placated, unfathomable mercy envelops the soul.
this story directly addresses one of our deepest anxieties, the fear of death and what comes next, for ourselves and for our loved ones. Faustina's experience provides a powerful antidote to this fear. It is a message of radical hope. It tells us we are not helpless. Through a simple prayer, we can call upon an ocean of mercy for a soul in its final agony. We can stand with them in their final moments, commending them to the merciful heart of Jesus, who promises to stand there not as a just judge, but as the merciful Savior. The calming of the storm and the prayer for the dying nun are more than just profound accounts from a saint's life. They are living lessons, testaments to a faith that is active, powerful, and deeply compassionate. They show us that prayer, when rooted in profound trust, can indeed calm the seas, both literal and spiritual. Saint Faustina's entire life was a testament to one simple yet profoundly difficult truth: trust. The words Jesus asked her to have inscribed on the Divine Mercy image, "Jesus, I trust in you," were not just a motto. They were the very key that unlocked this torrent of grace. Her experiences serve as an invitation to move beyond a passive faith, to become active participants in God's plan of salvation, to be conduits of His mercy for a world drowning in storms of its own making. The message of divine mercy is not a message of fear, but of hope. It is a reminder that no sin is too great, no darkness too deep, and no storm too violent to be overcome by the infinite ocean of God's love. As Jesus told Saint Faustina, and as He tells us today, let the greatest sinners place their trust in my mercy. They have the right before others to trust in the abyss of my mercy. If these accounts of Saint Faustina's powerful prayer have moved you, we invite you to subscribe for more content that explores the depths of our beautiful faith. May the comments section below serve as a sacred space for your own prayer intentions, for the storms in your life, or for the souls of those who are dying. Let us, as a community of faith, continue the work of Saint Faustina, calling down God's unfathomable mercy upon one another and upon the whole world.